And welcome into the Dynasty 365 podcast, folks. We are the Dynasty podcast for fantasyandframes.com and the Fantasy and Frames podcast network. My co-host and founder, Jorge Edwards, is on a work trip this week. So we have our DFS director and host of the Daily Fix podcast, Keith Fleming, joining us in his stead. Keith, how you doing, man?
Did you see the Falcons game Sunday? I'm not doing great, Tyler.
It seems to become their thing.
We knew. As you know, my dad, my best friends, all big fat. We were texting each other up 16, going, "We're going to blow this." I mean, that's the scary thing is the fans see it coming. I'm sure the team does. That's why this stuff happens over and over again. But it doesn't surprise me. We're Murphy's Law of football. Whatever can happen will happen.
Yes, it is very unfortunate. I hear you, man. I was there for 20 years. Even Sunday, I was like, oh, well, Browns are going to miss this. It's 58-yard field goal. And then Cade York comes out of nowhere and just hits a moon. It wasn't even a moonshot. I can't say a moonshot. It was a laser. It's ridiculous. That thing was moving. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cover some stock up and stock down after week one. Obviously some quick reactions. We'll do some kind of maybe quarterly or half season reviews of where these guys' stock is actually going. But on a weekly basis, you can tell by some of these guys' usage, how they are scheming for them, how they're focusing on them in the offense, that they really might have a future role in their offenses. So we're going to cover some of those guys. Just general news first. The big thing is the Dak Prescott injury. He had surgery on his thumb. This really scares me. I mean, this is a pattern now. He was healthy for the first portion of his career, and yeah, he played 16 games last year, but he wasn't healthy. He had a shoulder issue and he had a calf issue. And the year before, his leg snapped like a twig, and now his thumb's broken. Are we ever going to see a healthy Dak again? Do you feel good about that, Keith?
No. And I mean, the bigger issue is the injuries have started to pile up as the Cowboys' offensive line has gone the other way. Early in his career, he had arguably the best line in football. He rarely was hit, much less hurt. And it shouldn't be that much of a surprise that as their offensive line has fallen off, obviously he's taking more hits, more pressure, and now we're starting to see the injury bug. So that's what really concerns me is I don't see this Cowboys offensive line getting much better, anytime soon.
No, I mean, they had to sign 40-year-old Jason Peters off the street just to come in and give them, at least make people think that they have a competent offensive line. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to throw dirt on Jason Peters. He's one of the best left tackles to ever play the game. The only other piece of news that I'd hit is the Darren Waller contract. So he got a nice little increase. He signed a 3-year, $51 million contract with the Raiders. So the Raiders are doing some interesting stuff. They paid Darren Waller. They paid Derek Carr. They paid Davante Adams. But the thing is, they've really only committed to this for a year. The way that they structured these contracts, they are very team friendly. If the Raiders want to move on, if they don't feel good about where their offense is, just even this year, they can move. I mean, the only person they have significant cash dedicated to is Davante Adams. Derek Carr, they can get out of his contract after this year with almost no dead cap. Darren Waller, after 2023, they can get out of his contract with almost no dead cap. Hell, they can get out of his contract this year with little dead cap. I mean, they'd still take $9 million, but they'd save $3 million. So it's very interesting to me what the Raiders are doing. They want to see what they can do with the weapons they have in place, and good for Darren Waller and good for his dynasty value. But they really could pull the rug out from under these guys. So I wouldn't put way too much stock into Waller and Carr getting paid, because they could be on the street next year. All right. So we're gonna move through some of these guys. We're gonna go stock up after week 1. I'm going to start because this is a guy, A.J. Brown, who got traded from the Titans to the Eagles in the offseason during the draft. I was very upset. I was far more upset than the Titans fan we had on our podcast, on our broadcast. And I was very concerned. I mean, I don't know. Did you agree with me, Keith, that he's going from a low volume passing attack in Tennessee to an even lower volume passing attack in Philadelphia? Did that concern you?
It did. The only thing I will say that I wasn't as worried about is I think Brown is so good after the catch and what the Eagles spent to get him. I knew he was going to probably get, be their number one target. And with the amount of touchdowns he scored, I still think he may have been a little bit too high with his ADP. And obviously, if he keeps playing like week 1, we'll be way wrong about that. But I did think that there was a good chance he would obviously have a high usage just like he did in Tennessee, and he scores touchdowns. But if he sees, what do you see, like 14 targets week 1? He sees that every week. He should have been a top 5 receiver on draft boards.
Yeah, and I guess that's my bad because I didn't account for the kind of capital that the Eagles spent on him. They spent a first-round pick and I think a third-round pick, right? So first and a third, and they gave him just an absolute boatload of money. So they are dedicated to this guy being their passing game. 13 targets, 10 receptions, 155 yards in week 1. The number of games he had over 13 targets in his career with the Tennessee Titans, 1. The number of games he had with the Tennessee Titans in his career with over 10 receptions, 1. They are dedicating this passing offense to him like the Tennessee Titans just never would have. So I feel pretty good about A.J. Brown moving forward. You thought he was going to be a cog in the wheel like Davante Adams, and it turns out that Davante Adams and A.J. Brown are the wheel.
That's right.
I know you had somebody that you wanted to cover, Keith. Who's the first one you want to hit?
I just want to talk about Antonio Gibson for Jorge's Washington Commanders since he's not here. I just want to start by saying I think it's really impressive that this guy was told that, you lost your job. There was reports everywhere that the front office, coaching staff didn't like him. Then, the awful news of Robinson getting shot. And then he comes out and he has the 15th highest snap share for running backs, 8th highest opportunity share. And he was top 15 in just about every major running back category. And the receptions is the big deal to me. I mean, that's what Gibson has always strived at. And we talked that Carson Wentz loves throwing to his running backs. And if Gibson plays the 15th highest snap share, I think his floor is like 4 receptions a week. He had 7, obviously, week 1. And I just think he's somebody that could end up winning this job. Sadly, if you're injured, you can lose your job. The NFL is one of those few leagues that it's not there for you when you get back. And Washington's offense looked kind of frisky. So I think Gibson's stock is definitely up, if nothing else, for the next 3-4 weeks. And then we'll see if Robinson can try to wrangle the job back from him. But I think if Gibson plays like he did Sunday, it's going to be hard to do.
Absolutely. And kind of sticking in that Washington football team vein, I don't even want to call them the Commanders. I like the football team more. A guy whose stock up was Carson Wentz. I mean, he got buried this offseason. The Colts had him for 1 year. They threw him out the door. I mean, they could not have been less gentle with the way that they got rid of Carson Wentz. It happened fast. And Carson Wentz, he's a pro-level quarterback. Heck, for the Colts last year, he was the QB 14 overall. And I think even the Dynasty community has had a little trouble divorcing his actual football value with his fantasy football value. And he goes out and throws 4 touchdowns in week 1. And we've been saying all offseason, hey, Scott Turner's a good offensive coordinator. He knows how to call plays. They have a top 10 wide receiver in Terry McLaurin. They have a good running back in Antonio Gibson. They have a talented tight end in Logan Thomas when he can stay on the field. we forget Curtis Samuel was a really good player when he was with the Panthers. He's just had trouble staying on the field. It's a good offense.
Dotson looked good. I mean,
Yes,
they got weapons.
they do. And I think Wentz is going to continue to be, I don't know if he's not going to be the QB3 overall like he was this week, but a high-end QB2 finish for him this year is very much in the cards. So if you're looking to compete and you're lacking at your QB2 spot or your super flex spot, Wentz is a nice guy that you can go out to buy. So who else are you excited about here, Keith?
This is not a homer pick, even though it is a homer pick, but I was excited about Drake London's, basically the way they involved him in the offense. He had 7 targets, 5 receptions for 75 yards. And what I'm just most giddy about moving forward was his numbers versus man-to-man, something he should see a lot of when you have Kyle Pitts, on the same field as you. He's going to obviously draw a ton of attention. He was 5th in target rate versus man and 15th in target separation versus man, top 25 in target separation, average cushion, target premium, and dominator rating. And again, this was his first game coming off a preseason that he basically missed. I think he only played like 4 snaps in the first game, got hurt, and then we didn't see him again the rest of the preseason. But I saw what made me love him so much coming into the NFL is just this is a big receiver who he's always open. And it was hard, it's hard even watching film of him to be like, how does this big guy keep finding all this open space? And if you saw some of the routes that he ran on Marcus Lattimore, you see it's because he's a phenomenal route runner. And there's very few guys at his size can really move their hips and shoulders the way he can. So I'm excited because I think that, again, it's pick your poison. You either can try to cover him, and that's going to leave Pitts one-on-one a lot, or you're going to see him a lot one-on-one, which he proved in week 1 against Marcus Lattimore. A majority of that game, he can get open in the NFL.
That's a big deal, man. Doing that against Marcus Lattimore week 1 as a rookie. I mean, Marcus Lattimore is one of the best cornerbacks in the league, full stop. So that's really exciting about Drake London. Just watching his college tape, he was always really good, but he wasn't labeled as the separator. And right. I think, it was for good reason. He wasn't always creating a bunch of space in the open field when he was trying to get off guys, but he always came down with the ball. So he's going to be really good. I'm excited for you and your Falcons.
Let's just hope we have a quarterback to throw it to for the next 5 years. Now we got 2 great weapons.
Hey, all you guys have to do is keep blowing 16-point leads.
That's right. More Ritter.
You'll be in line. Yeah. Hey, they've got to play Ritter at some point.
Oh, I'm with you.
I mean, they have to see what they have before they go and get a top 5 pick and try to take Stroud or Young or
decide if they want to lose the rest of their games.
What's the Kentucky guy's name? Will Levis. Is he going to make a jump into the top 5 this year for draft?
If he would, I'm sure the Falcons would be the one to select him. So.
All right. I'm going to start going to the running back well here. Miles Sanders. I don't want to overstate this because I don't think he's all of a sudden this top 12, top 15 running back, but he killed his dynasty stock in the offseason when he was like, don't select me in fantasy. You don't want me. Like, this offense isn't built for that. And he's not necessarily wrong, but the thing is, he's like by a country mile the most talented running back on that team. And he proved it with 13 carries for 96 yards and a touchdown this week. And he's also a good pass catcher. He always has been. He's been really good at even catching deep balls. So, like I said, he's not a top 15 running back all of a sudden, but he's a good player, and he's a guy that you can flex week in and week out.
I completely agree. Another back that it's probably more of the dub, but just what I saw was Javonte Williams. His snap share was up over 5% from last year, which I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but when a guy is as talented as Javonte Williams, to me, that shows, A, they realized we got to get him the ball more, and B, the big thing was he was on the other side of that 50% share to where last year it was Melvin Gordon and then Javonte Williams. He saw 3 red zone touches, which is huge, even if he did fumble it on the one. He was 10th in routes run, 2nd in target share, and he had the most targets and receptions of any running back in week 1. I know the game script had something to do with that, but I think with Wilson there, you are going to see Williams catch a lot more passes. And for somebody like me who has him in a couple of PPR leagues, I can kind of take an exhale for taking Williams in the 2nd round and going, okay, is this guy really going to be a top 12 running back? And I think the answer to that's going to be a resounding yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to get 12 targets every week.
No, for sure.
That was just a weird game and didn't give me a whole lot of faith in Nathaniel Hackett, but I think they can figure it out, right?
He admitted it's wrong. Hackett said, yeah, it was dumb.
Yeah. I mean, tell me that they can figure it out, right, Keith? I'm going to keep
right.
getting higher.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and just mention my guy, Khalil Herbert. David Montgomery is not dead. Don't bury him. Don't kill him. He's still the lead running back on this team. But Herbert showed that he could absolutely usurp Montgomery at some point this year. He had a good game in that absolute disaster of a weather game in Chicago. So, I mean, all things said, you kind of got to throw it out. But when you're talking about opportunity and success in a game like that for a running back, that's a big deal. So even if he's
throw it out. He was a better back last year. Me and Joe argued about this during the preseason pods. I liked Herbert over Montgomery because he was, practically free in drafts. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he was with Fields in the game, he looked like the more impressive runner all last year when they played together. And I think he's going to take that job over by the end of the year because all he does is get 5-6 yards, it seems like, per carry every game that he gets at least 10 carries in. And I don't know why you would not want a good running back next to a young running quarterback with a bad offensive line like Justin Fields. So I think there'll be a little bit less of a hook for Montgomery this year than last year because, the line is just it's going to be issues. And again, this is probably another real quick, but I do want to mention Saquon Barkley, who me and Joe hammered the point all through the offseason that Barkley was absolutely worth the ADP that he was at, maybe even more. Obviously, you have to, question, will he stay healthy? And we'll still have to find that out. But it's no different than McCaffrey. The bottom line is he averaged for his career 100 total yards per game and 4 receptions when he's been healthy. And all he did in week 1 was have 6 receptions and 194 total yards. For the people that got Barkley like myself and some drafts, if he stays healthy, you have a potential to have a top 3 running back, maybe the number 1. And I just hope the Giants' offense is decent and it's not the Titans are just a really bad defense.
Yes, absolutely. You're preaching to the choir here. I've had Saquon in my top 5 dynasty running backs since June. And that was when people were burying him as, he's injury prone. He's not even a top 15 guy anymore. He's still one of the most talented running backs in the league.
Just look at his legs.
Yeah. My God, those legs. I have dreams about him.
It's like, good luck tackling that.
One more positive I'm going to mention because he's my guy is Josh Jacobs. I've always liked Josh Jacobs. He's been a productive runner his entire career. Is he the top 10 most talented guy like Saquon is? No, he's not. But he averages almost 5 yards per carry in his career. He's on a good offense, questionable offensive line. But the biggest concern for Jacobs, I felt this year, was he was going to get a little bit of passing work. We weren't expecting a ton, but it was Zamir White. Was Zamir White going to come in and steal Josh Jacobs' rushing work? Was he going to come in and vulture him at the goal line? And after week 1, Zamir White got 0 offensive snaps.
Yeah, not one of my best takes this offseason.
I still think it could happen later in the year, or it might just be a full punt to next year. But Jacobs is the guy in this offense.
Right.
Give me one more, Keith. Who do you got?
All right. Let's see here. Let's go with Pittman Jr., who you are all over. I think you've had him higher than anybody. He looked like the receiver that all of us have been salivating, at least people have been really high on him, all season. Huge target share, a lot of air yards, which people, say Matt Ryan can't throw the ball downfield. That's not his strength anymore, but Ryan can push the ball down the field. And, I reminded this when we were going through our stuff in the preseason that Ryan always has that number one receiver that gets about 25 to 30% target share. That's right where Pittman was at. I think that he's going to consistently be a wide receiver one for daily fantasy. Take advantage of him now because he's going to be over 7,000, over 7,500 in the weeks ahead. And he should pretty much be an instant start in your lineups.
Absolutely. He is now in that, at least until further notice, in that start your studs category for me. All right. So we've been very positive throughout this entire thing, talking about all these guys that stock up after week one. Let's bring the tone down a little bit. Let's really talk bad about some guys. So the first one I'm going to mention, who I actually felt really good about, is Hunter Renfrow. It's very unfortunate. They signed Darren Waller to a contract, so Darren Waller has kind of the middle of the field covered. I think they've kind of shown where, I mean, they signed Renfrow to a contract as well. So he is going to be involved, but Javonte, as I said earlier, is the wheel of this offense. I don't know if Hunter Renfrow is going to be a startable asset in fantasy this year. We will find out. But right now, I don't feel good about it anywhere.
He's going to be a Cole Beasley, right? Where maybe one every 3-4 weeks, he'll probably go off and have a huge game, but there's going to be a lot of duds in between to where, boy, if it's season long, it's really hard to justify.
Yes. Are you starting him anywhere?
No.
Right.
Not until I see more. I mean, I think that they need him to be the offense that they want to be. Like, they need all three of those guys cooking with Jacobs. That's what will make that offense really tough to stop. But again, it makes sense that Adams is one of the best receivers in football, getting open, creating separation, him and Carr's relationships. I'm not surprised they were force feeding him or that he was just open. But I think that you also have to figure out a way to get Renfrow the ball. He's been on a lot of winning teams.
Yeah. Do you think Derek Carr and Davante Adams share buckets of popcorn at the movies?
With a blanket next to like a fireplace for sure.
Oh, no, I'm talking like full on going to the movie theaters with a blanket, sharing a bucket of popcorn.
People still go to the movie theaters these days? I couldn't tell you the last time I went to a movie theater.
I love going to movie theaters.
I like staying at my house. The HD section's pretty good for me, Tyler. But no, I wouldn't be surprised if they are. Definitely, though, now with what you told me, the Carr's contract, they can get out really easy. I'm sure he's buddying up to Adams, being like, you need to make sure this is we're a pair until we're either both here or both gone.
Yes. All right. Who are you down on here?
So I know this is a down thing, but a lot of people are down on Travis Etienne. I understand that the snap, it's going to be a 50-50 deal, and that is kind of a bummer, but he still saw 49% of the snaps, and this should make people feel better. He was first in true yards per carry, yards per touch, 8th in yards created per touch. If he doesn't drop the touchdown pass, which granted he did, and that was bad, I think we're all looking at this at a totally different way than we are right now. I am not worried about him right now. I think that he showed what he can do. I mean, he had, almost 11 yards per carry. He only had like 4, but the explosiveness is there. It's just the opportunity is not going to be. And it's what I said before. It's probably going to be more like Javonte Williams last year, where he's going to look like the better back, but he's just not going to get a ton of, opportunities in the red zone, even though he did get 2 touches in the red zone. I just don't see a lot being there, but I'm not as down on him as most people, but I understand people are concerned because James Robinson looks entrenched as the Melvin Gordon, if you will, of the Jacksonville Jaguars offense.
Yeah. The one issue I take with that is I feel like labeling him as the Melvin Gordon, a 30-year-old running back, is saying that
that's fair.
He's kind of on his way out.
That's
James Robinson's been one of the most productive running backs in the NFL on garbage teams for the past 2 years.
Maybe they can be the Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman of the Super Bowl, Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
They won a few years back. Those are 2 young backs, kind of similar builds.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I don't know if everyone listening to this knows who
They're like, who?
Tevin
And
Coleman
who?
is. But I get it. I get your drift, man. Get yourself an NFL Game Pass. Search back to the year of our
When the
Lord,
Falcons were scoring,
2017.
Keats was happy. Life was good.
Yes. I'm going to hit. So, Rams, are you worried about Cam Akers and Allen Robinson?
Oh, yeah. Well, Cam more than Robinson because of Robinson's, snap share and everything, route run percentage. But Cam, yeah, I'm pretty concerned because Darrell Henderson, he's another one of those guys, kind of like Reds Burkhead in Houston that they're on the roster. They're going to get a bunch of snaps, because they trust them. And so I am worried. But again, don't ever overreact week one. I try not to make any sudden one way or the other because at the end of the day, it's one game out of 17. But it's very concerning to me. The whole Rams offense looked concerning to me. Hopefully Buffalo's defense is just that good. If not, I think the Rams are going to have a lot of trouble moving the ball this year.
Yeah, and there could be some growing pains with a offensive line that just isn't as good as it was last year.
New person calling plays too. So maybe that,
Yes.
in fairness.
Yeah. And the last one I'm going to mention is Kadarius Toney. Again, you don't want to overreact, but he just really didn't see the field. I think this is not a football thing. I don't believe, at least. I think this is Kadarius Toney, the person not showing the proper amount of respect and discipline that he needs to this craft and to his game. And I think the coaches see that and he's either going to put up or shut up on that team.
Yeah, he's been making more rap videos than he has plays on the field, which is for somebody that had him. He was my favorite low tier play in DFS this week, and that was a big want. The good news, he had 2 carries that both went for over 10 yards. The bad news, he didn't get one single target. And the Giants are not exactly loaded at receiver, which makes it even worse that they don't want probably their most talented guy out there, which makes me think exactly what you're saying, that this is, look, if you're not going to act right, learn, whatever it is, you're not going to play. And so, yeah, I'm very concerned for a guy that I think is super talented. And a Giants offense that, who knows, I have them making the playoffs before the season. People thought it was crazy, but we'll see from here.
And anything can happen in the NFC East. You never know.
Tyler, that dynasty question, full PPR, Ertz, Kittle. I'm not sure exactly who MT is for Kyle Pitts.
Dynasty, Tyler Muma, just like Chad Muma, it sounds like. Dynasty, full PPR, Ertz, Kittle, Michael Thomas for Kyle Pitts. I guess my question is it tight end premium? But honestly,
if he's getting Pitts, yes, take it.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in rebuilding or if you're competing. I mean I'd take it. I'd go for it. I honestly, I would do a lot to get the excitement of Kyle Pitts on my team.
Exactly. Especially for a guy like Kittle, who knows if he's going to play week to week. And Ertz is a fine tight end, and Michael Thomas is getting older. He just missed 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I love that deal if you can get it.
I
love it. Do it, man.
Yeah,
he's rebuilding.
No premium.
Love
I'm rebuilding. It. Yes. Yeah. Smash accept, Tyler.
Open up some roster spots too.
Absolutely. All right. I think that's all we got. Everyone, thank you for listening. We are doing our Wednesday night pod night. So immediately after this, we've got 4th and Frames. That'll be with Nate and I. After that, we have the Daily Fix with Mr. Keith Fleming and Joe Matz. And after that, we have Shoot the Gap, our IDP podcast with Nate Markham, Mike Woolert, and Hollywood Titan. If you enjoyed what you heard, please stick around, listen to some more of our podcasts. We are working hard constantly. Everyone on this team is putting out a lot of awesome content on the website. All of our rankings are up on the website. We did all of our season previews. We're doing Chasing Upside articles every week. So we are very excited for this season. Keith, Thank you very much for sticking around. It was a lot of fun having you on.
Go Browns.